of course, lots to check out here at Science World. Let's head back now to the station with Simi.
Thank you, Tasha. All right, for all you people out there who made a New Year's resolution that had something to do with your job, Alanna Fero is here with us. She's a career management expert. And really, Alanna, even for those people who didn't make a resolution about their job, right?
It's only January 2nd. There's still time. I think most people aren't thinking about work until the week of the 7th anyway. So you have a window.
True.
You have a window.
Okay, so let's start with the people who did make a career-based resolution for the new year. Do most people say they're going to find a new job or move out of their job?
I think there are definitely people who want to make maybe a dramatic career change. They feel like they're in something that doesn't suit them, that, you know, we make career decisions when we're 17. You know, we choose a path for university and study, and then we find ourselves somewhere looking around at 30 going, is this it? And so for a lot of my clients who are in that age bracket in their 30s, maybe even their 40s, they might be looking for a major change. I think a lot of people are thinking about maybe wanting to get noticed this year. Maybe this is the time for promotion. Everybody knows this is a hot job market. This is definitely a candidates market right now. Employers are finding it hard to get people and to keep people. So anybody who's reading those stories in the news is looking around and thinking, can I do better this year?
Right, but for some reason we have this mental idea that it's so hard to go out there and find the job. So is it harder or easier than we think it is?
I think it's easier if you have the confidence and if you have the clarity about what you want. I think it feels kind of harder because there's almost more pressure. You know that there's more of a market, that it's supposed to be easier, and it's not feeling easier to you. It's still scary, and I don't know what to put in the resume, and I hate those interviews, and oh my God, I don't want to negotiate salary. I'm just going to stay where I am.
I see, and there you go, January 3rd, and your resolution is done.
There you
already.
go, you're shot.
But let's talk about the people who didn't necessarily make a resolution, but could, because they can get into the next level with their job, right?
Well, you can always focus on just trying to be more noticed, be a bit more of a star at work, be the one who gets the more interesting project, who's lined up to get some face time with the boss. I mean, one of the things that I advise my clients to do is if you're happy in your organization, but you just want more, I get them to make a social capital organizational chart. So put all the people in the organization who are important, and then evaluate what's the state of your relationship with them. If I had some one-on-one time with the boss, has he ever seen me do anything particularly important? Am I the guy who looks good in a meeting?
That is
and
so,
try and
wait a minute,
increase your points.
That is that is so calculated. So you want somebody to write down on a chart important people at the company and how much you've sucked up to them over the last year?
No, it's not sucking up. It's not sucking up.
Are you sure? Because that's what it sounds like.
No, it's sucking up if it's anyone. If I said, oh, you look great in red, and I don't mean that, then no, that would not be a good thing to do, and that would be bad for my career karma. I wouldn't mess with it. But if you do look beautiful today, why wouldn't I take the opportunity to tell you that?
Because it's going to sound like you're doing that just to get points?
Not if I do it for real. Not if I actually mean it and we honestly have a relationship. But what people do is they put their head down in their cubicle so tight, looking so focused at their paper, they have no relationships around them, and then it is the suck up who actually just happened to have lunch with the boss who gets the interesting project while you're grueling down there. So I need people who are working hard to also work in a way that's connected, because it is a relationship that will advance your career.
All right, I get that. So if you want your job to go from good to great, you take the list of the important people.
Absolutely.
And essentially, what have you done for them lately?
Okay, that's a really crass way of putting it. But, you know, what have you done that is of genuine quality that they might have witnessed? And if they didn't witness it, how do you get it in front of them a little bit?
Okay, and that's kind of, all right, so like, what things are we talking about here?
I think if I've been, working on a client that is becoming important to the organization, maybe not a key client, maybe they're not on the key client list yet, but I can see that there's some potential there, and I've been nurturing this relationship, I want to make sure that people know that. Maybe I want to get my client reclassified.
Right. Do we need to be more ruthless in the way we look at our jobs and how we want to get ahead?
I would never use a word like ruthless. I mean, that means an absence of heart and kindness. I would never want that. Do we need to be more strategic? Yes.
Okay. That's a better word.
Yeah,
strategic.
Intentional. Yeah. Intentional. You can't sit back and wait for the world to notice that you are a quality person. You need to be ready to step up and show that you're a quality person.
That is so perfect, too, because how many people think that if I just keep my head down and do good work, somebody's going to notice me?
Yeah, absolutely. It just doesn't work that way. That's a little naive. Because people are busy themselves. Do you really know how effective the person beside you is? Have you really been watching them mindfully? No.
Right.
You know what they do that affects you.
Okay.
And not what doesn't. So.
Alanna, you're going to hang around because she's going to take your career questions if you would like to ask her something about the new year, how to approach your job, any kind of question like that. You can email us breakfasttelevision@citytv.com. It's a good time of year to be thinking about that kind of stuff. Stay with us. 9:04, you're watching Breakfast Television on this Wednesday morning.
Everything
happens.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Anna. Let's now head back to the station with Simi.
That was interesting. Thank you very much for that, Tasha. Alanna Fero's back with us. We're talking about your job in the new year and how you can make it better. And Alanna, I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of people out there who think that their job is okay and never understand that they can take it to a next level.
Yeah, I think sometimes people just aren't really even paying attention to what's going on around them, to other opportunities that they could maybe create. They don't necessarily know where their qualifications might transfer to another organization. I think if you're not really excited to get up and go to work, if there's not something that you're looking forward to on a Monday morning, and that doesn't mean that you have to be, giddy and not want to take your weekend. We should all want some time off. I'm not saying that, your work is necessarily the most exciting thing in your life. But if it doesn't have something that you're looking forward to, then it's probably worth taking a look around, talking to some of your colleagues, taking a coffee or lunch meeting with somebody who's working in a neighboring company, and getting a better sense of what grass may in fact be greener out there.
Okay, because a lot of times it can be the employee, not necessarily the company. So what questions should you ask yourself in terms of, am I unhappy in my job? Like, what makes a job not a good situation?
Well, I mean, if you're having trouble sleeping on a regular basis, if you're sick all the time, if you're worried and stressed out about deadlines or projects or expectations, if you feel like you're being criticized or gossiped about, that's often a culture where things aren't happy.
Right.
Also, somebody was talking in the green room about people who over the Christmas season, get asked what they do and they don't have a comfortable answer. They don't feel good saying, I'm whatever that is, and telling the story. They're kind of saying, oh, no big deal, what do you do? And dodging the question. If you're not excited to tell people what you do and proud of it and looking forward to that, that's not a bad indicator either.
Okay, but a lot of people do tend to think, well, you know what, not everybody can have a job that they love, and this is just the thing I'm stuck with.
And if you believe that, then that's true. And if you're ready to shift that belief, we can make something else happen.
Look at you and the glass half full. Okay, I got a couple of emails here to read. Jeff from Surrey writes, first off, I have a job that I really enjoy, and this is similar to what you were just talking about. Modest job with fair pay, but it doesn't have all the bells and whistles. I was home with my family over the holidays, and my siblings all have amazing jobs and make a killing, and I always feel as if I'm sort of the black sheep of the family, and my job means nothing. How can I change their perception and not feel this way?
Well, I don't know if it's about changing their perception. If you think you only have a modest job, then what would a great job for you look like, and change that. I think it's hard to be really satisfied in your life and have other people look down on it for very long. And if they do, then maybe the question is, well, what does that say about them and not, in fact, about you? It doesn't have to bother you. Most of the time when people tell me that they're not looking forward to running into their brother-in-law because he's going to put them down about their work again. Yeah, well, it's because they actually sort of believe a little bit of what the brother-in-law is saying. If you don't believe it in any way, then you can brush him off and stay away from him and not have that conversation, or needle him back, but it doesn't have to be too terribly troubling.
Okay, that's good. Now, the other thing is, it's hard for people to look for another job sometimes because in terms of politics and keeping it quiet where you work and all that, you should be really careful about that,
you want
right?
to be really careful. If people work in a fairly small industry where it's quite sensitive, I recommend that they put company confidential for their current employer. I recommend indicating, private and confidential all over the resume, not providing references at this stage, being very discreet about where you choose to apply or the relationships that you choose to build. For God's sake, don't post your resume on Monster if you don't want your employer to know that you're out there looking for work. Small clue that you'd be amazed. Oh my God, he found out. How did that happen? Well, your resume is on 8 job boards. That would be, with yesterday's date.
People are going to find out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then once that does happen, how do you handle that with your boss? If it's like, okay, yeah, I am looking for another job, but I didn't want you to know. How do you deal with that?
I think at that point you have to have a transparent conversation, and you have to tell them exactly why it is that you're looking for something else. Maybe in today's job market, more often than not, the employer is willing to offer you something to keep you.
Okay. Very quickly, a final email here from somebody who is anonymous, and good reason why, because they misbehaved at the office Christmas party, and they're very embarrassed about that, wants to call in sick forever, but what should they do? Will these people still remember? How do they face them?
Do we know what actually happened at the office party? Like, how bad is bad?
Let's see here. Intoxicated, made a big stumble down a flight of stairs in front of everybody, including my boss.
Okay.
Not only did I fall, I was wearing a dress, and everyone saw the thong.
Oh my goodness. All right. Yeah. I think, one, don't talk about it. Do not talk about it. Do not tell the klutz story. Do not make fun of yourself. Do not. There's a temptation to try and show that you're a good sport and you're the.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah. No. You can laugh about it in the moment, and then you got to kind of get your yourself back in gear. So I think this would be a good time to be very quiet, very diligent, very focused. You make a decision that you're never drinking at work again. Like, this is just not the two martini lunch. Absolutely, and follow through. I'm not talking about making a resolution to all of your colleagues that you're never drinking again. I'm talking about very quietly demonstrating in your behavior that you're not drinking at a work function in the future.
Keep your head down and do your work, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, Alanna, thank you very much for the advice this morning. It's 9:30. You're watching BT.
Thanks.